Good morning or good evening, whatever time you guys are tuned in to More to Me podcast with your host, Tequila. And this week, I wanted to start off by saying I hope everybody had a great Labor Day week and Labor Day weekend. Um, this is episode 2. Episode 1 was posted last week, Wednesday. I hope you guys tuned in and tapped into that episode. But this episode, I wanted to bring to attention because it was brought to my attention last week that this month is Suicide Prevention Month. So I also just wanted to tap into this just a little bit because I know sometimes this subject is a little bit touchy. Or I wouldn't say touchy, but it's, a little sore for some people. But I just wanted to highlight that this month is Suicide Prevention Month. So we're just going to dive right into it. So, um, I know last week was Suicide Prevention Week, but overall, this is the month of it. And I just want to say, like, for those that struggle with daily problems and issues and feel like suicide is the only way out, the world may be against your back, or you may feel as if you don't have anybody, or you're just so alone and there's nobody that can help you, and you just want to take your own stuff out of the misery, there is other ways. There's different ways that you can get through whatever you're going through in life. I know it may seem hard and it may seem impossible, but you, in fact, my love, my dear, can get through it. You can do it. There's a lot of different ways that you can get the help instead of just taking it all by yourself and feeling as if the world is against you. And really, it's just you and your head. Your head is your biggest enemy, and you just got to find ways to get out of it. So, this week I wanted to highlight ways that I help myself and my backstory and everything as to why I feel like this episode can help others. So, first and foremost, I do want to say that for somebody that's personally have went through stuff like that, I can speak for myself. I was diagnosed with MDD at the age of 18. And for those who don't know what that is, MDD is mild depressive disorder or mild depression disorder. And basically, that's just like the lowest level of depression, but it's not as intense as the other two. But all that it involves mainly is just loss of appetite, sleeping problems, sudden sadness, and it comes in episodes and it comes in waves. So it's not like I necessarily constantly deal with erratic depression, and always feeling sad all of a sudden it hits. Sometimes it's by triggers, and sometimes it's just the emotions that I'm feeling, and it just happens. I mean, you can't really pinpoint exactly like where it comes from, or there's like not a specific thing that ignites it, but like I said, I do express depression in waves and episodes. So sometimes I'll draw myself away, or I will isolate myself from people, or I just zone out, tunnel vision. Like I wouldn't even be paying attention. Like somebody would literally be talking to me, and I'm just like zoned out, not completely like comprehending what they're saying to me. So that's just a little bit of my form of MDD. Some people have much more worse cases, but in my case, I definitely experienced that. And plus, I also have severe anxiety as well. So they kind of work hand in hand. Usually, once somebody's diagnosed with depression, sometimes they may have cases of, or they may be diagnosed with anxiety, but they usually go hand in hand. If you have one or the other, you end up getting both, or you just end up getting one or the other. So I definitely have both cases of depression and anxiety. So I just definitely want to say, like, this is actually coming from somebody who experienced those type of mental health issues before. And it, like, depression does not come with a look. You can't tell someone is fully depressed if they don't come to you and say it in a way. Some people can mask it very well, and that is a problem because I do it too. Most people will not know that am typically going through an episode, or I'm in one, or I passed one. Most people won't know it unless I say it or I speak it into the world or whatever, and express that I'm going through an episode, or it just passed, or whatever. It comes in waves, like I said. So this is just, my form of ways, or me expressing that this is not only just coming from somebody that's just knows about it. But this is somebody that has actually experienced it. So, um, yeah. So there's been like I said, I've experienced waves and episodes, and depression does not come with the look at all. Like it'll be the happiest people on this earth, and next something happens to them, or the world collapsed on them and everything, and you just it's hard for them to take in a lot of stuff that is coming from the world. And ultimately, sometimes, in some cases, they take the other route and they take their own lives. And that's not really the avenue that anybody should ever go through in life. But it just happens. But for me, I definitely, for one, have experienced that a lot. And um, in some cases, like in my lifetime, I mean, I don't want to start crying, but um, just sitting there thinking about it, it's just like I've been through like a lot throughout my life, and I always thought like suicide was always the answer to all of my problems. Like if I take myself out of my own misery, or if I take myself out of this world, nobody's gonna care. And deep down inside, like there is people on this world that actually cares about you, and it actually cares about what happens to you if you were to follow through with this action and so forth or whatever. And it actually took me a couple times for me to realize when I almost, you know, went through with the action that if that action was to have succeeded, where would my family be? Where would my friends be? Where would my sister, especially my sisters, be? Like, I had to think about it, and it's just like most people, they sit and they say like, oh yeah, you can always get help. For some people, it is very extreme. It is extremely hard, and sometimes people don't have those people to go to. Like, it is very very hard for people to ask for help, and I am for one person that will not ask for help. Lately, since I've been doing like my healing journey, I have been asking for help. Usually, I just deal with all these issues by myself. I isolate myself, like I said before. Like I don't ask for help, but lately I have been asking for help, and I actually went through for the help that I needed and went to therapy. So that was something that really really helped me in a way to overcome those challenges that I technically or pretty much dealt with by myself, and that is not always the answer to always take everything by yourself. So I just wanted to highlight those details so that I can possibly help the next person and the next person and the next person. So um I haven't necessarily followed through with the attempt, but there have been thoughts. So like thoughts, and I mean like almost following through with it. Like I in my lifetime, I have written about 3 or 4 suicide notes. 3 or 4. And that was through maybe from when I was 18, about when I was first diagnosed with it, up until last year, this year actually, up until this year. So yeah, I just definitely wanted to make this episode specifically for those that struggle with mental health issues, and to tell them that you are not by yourself. You can get the help that you need. You don't always have to take these challenges by yourself. There is different things in this world that can help you, or different ways that you can go around to get to the lighter end of the tunnel. You don't always have to deal with the darkness by yourself. So I just want to say, like, yeah, it may be a lot, it may be tough, but you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing through in order to see that there is another side, another channel, another avenue for you. Besides the fact that you're dealing with depression, or besides the fact that something traumatic has happened to you, like I have been I have been an actual person that has been through something very traumatic, very traumatic, and I thought my only way to end it all was to commit suicide, and that's not necessarily the answer. And I had to learn that. Like it took hearing that I was needed on this earth for me to wake up, for me to come out of this channel, like for me to come out of this mindset that wasn't my resolution to anything. It was only gonna make things worse. And I was gonna forever have that on my soul that I did that action, and it just didn't feel right. And it actually took me to get back into my faith, to get back into who I am as a person, what made me who I am. And it definitely took people. Like, I can honestly say I have met some remarkable people in my life. Remarkable people. Other than my family, I have met some amazing people in my life. And I can, like, it's gonna make me tear up and I don't want to, but it's like before, and I was dealing with all those issues by myself as a child. Yeah, I had my best friends and everything, but it didn't satisfy, or I didn't feel like I was given enough opportunities to express myself, because as a child um I was always bottling everything in, because that was my survival mode. That was my survival tactics to life and how to get through things. Like, I wasn't able to express how I was feeling, so I just kept everything inside. And as I got older, it just got worse and worse and worse. And it was just like, okay, I dealt with this as a child and I keep bottling everything up, but it's just like I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody to express to, because those people that I could have turned to was either busy with other things or they had other things on their mind. And I was just like, I don't want to bother people with my burdens or bother people with my issues. And it just got to a point, like, it became so much. And it was just like I was turning to people that meant no good for me to help my depression and help with the issues that I was dealing with mentally. And it just, that just made it 10 times worse. So it just became to a point where I just felt like I just learned how to numb my emotions at one point. Like, I didn't feel nothing. And for a while, it took me realizing, like, how to get out of that mindset, because numbing how I was feeling and, like, not going to anybody with my problems, it just made everything worse. Like, to numb yourself, it is not a good thing. And most people don't realize, like, once you numb yourself, like, that's the end all be all. Like, there's no coming out of it. Like, you're just always gonna numb your emotions. You're not gonna feel anything. You just have to deal with those problems by yourself. And I had to learn that isn't the only way for me to get through life. So, like I said, it took remarkable people to come into my life for me to understand that, you know, life, there's better things in life, and there's a purpose that I have for my life. Not just to accommodate for, the people that come by me, whatever. Like, I actually have a light within me. The fact that I could count on people to help me come out of my situations, and vice versa. Like, many people came to me that really needed the help, and I was their light out of the darkness. And those same people, I could turn and reciprocate the same thing. Like, they were my light out of the darkness. So like I said, I have come across some very, very influential people in my life. And I just want to highlight one, because this one, like, she really, really helped me out of the most darkest places of my life, which is my best friend, Johnasia. That girl, my best friend, Johnasia, like, most people don't understand why I am so close with her the way I am, because she has helped me out of the most effed up parts of me. Like, she has accepted me for who I am, with my depression, with my anxiety, with the flaws about myself. Like, she has accepted me for all of that, and has not judged me for them at all. And I don't know, for some people, like, I they don't have that. And it's like, I thank God that I have that with my best friend John Asian. Like, most people don't understand. Like, that girl has helped me through some really, really tough times. Like, when I mean tough times, like getting me out of like following through with actions of actually ending my life. Like, she has helped me a lot, and I don't want to cry, and I'm trying not to. But it was an event that happened to me earlier this year, and it like turned my life upside down, like completely upside down. And I just felt like this was just it. This was the like end all be all for me, and I wasn't gonna be able to get through this situation. Like, there was no way that I was gonna be able to continue with life living like this, and it was just a very like life changing experience. And it was just like one day I just was in bed, and I was just thinking of like, in bed, just laying down, just thinking about how my funeral was gonna be, like thinking about what colors would I wanted and everything. And it was like a very dark time for me, like very dark time. I was sitting writing a note and everything in my little phone pad or whatever, in my notebooks in my phone. And it was just like a like that day was just I was gone. I was done. Like, there was nothing that could have helped me to come out of it but my best friend John Asian. It was just like that, and then is when I knew like I had a real one in my corner. Like, most times people sit in there like, oh yeah, asking for help and make you seem weird, but she is one of the real genuine people that I know in my life that I could count on to always come through, always help me with whatever I need help with. Like, sincerely, my best friend is one of those people. And like, sometimes most people don't have that. They don't have no one to turn to. But I encourage people to find those people, or for you to let those people come to you. Don't block your blessings. If someone is really genuine and you know they're in your corner and you're like pushing them away, which I had a tendency to do that when I was younger, and I was pushing people away, and it just made things worse and worse. But I sat down and I thought about it. I was like, why am I pushing this person away when all they're doing is trying to help me? All they're trying to do is make a difference into my circumstances, and I'm pushing them away. And that's not necessarily the best thing that you should be doing for somebody that you know that deals with these mental health issues and everything. Don't push people away. Ask for help. If help is coming to you, take it. Always take those opportunities to get the help that you need. Don't push them away, because at the end of the day, you're only blocking your own blessing, and you're only blocking your forthcoming and your purpose. So I found that I have my best friend to help me through those moments. And I'm forever grateful for her. And I love you, John Asia, if you're listening to this podcast right now. I love you. But yeah, so always seek for help. If it comes to you, seek for help. Always. And another thing that I also learned how to do to kind of get out of that mindset was to find new hobbies. Love yourself. Find yourself. You know, most people is like, sometimes their episodes come when they're bored, but sometimes it may come for me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when I get episodes, sometimes it'll come from me just being bored and me overthinking and getting in my head that it ends up triggering an episode. So keeping yourself busy is also another thing. Always keep yourself busy, especially when you get bored. Just up and start exercising. And I also heard that exercising, that was a recommendation for me too, was that exercising could also help build, I think it was serotonin, which is like happy hormones, good hormones. Don't quote me on that yet, but I think that was one of the things that kind of was something that was recommended to me whenever I was feeling down, or whenever I was feeling an episode coming, to exercise. So that was another thing. Finding hobbies, finding what you like to do, what you see yourself doing throughout the day, and making those strides into making the most out of your day. or making yourself tired enough so when you go to sleep, you don't have to think about any of those things, that you just go straight to sleep and you tire yourself out. So that was another thing that I did. Listening to music kind of helped a lot for me. Like, I am a music lover to the fullest. Sometimes listening to music can't always be a good thing, because then you start listening to a sad song and it just make you like get in the mood again. So you got to listen to like uplifting music. And for me, gospel has been the number one thing that has helped me a lot through my like those moments, through those passing moments. So definitely listening to gospel helped me a lot. Like, a lot. Getting through those hard times, gospel has been the so uplifting moment for me. And just renewing my faith also helped me a lot. A lot. To the point, like, since I kind of reconnected back with my faith, I haven't really been experiencing episodes like that. And I'm pretty sure it was just me just getting in my head a lot, and a bunch of other stuff that was around me or whatever. So I definitely can agree, like, listening to gospel music is one of those good things that kind of help me kind of replenish my faith and restoring my faith in my relationship with God. So that is another thing that I do. And that's also another thing that you can do too, but it's only within your beliefs and your practices. But for me, definitely reconnecting my relationship and restoring my relationship with God has helped me a lot. A lot. So that is another thing too. That something else that have done actually. What else have I done? Oh, yes, therapy. Therapy. I have been going to therapy. Oh my gosh, most people have a stigma of going to therapy, that going to therapy makes you a crazy person. Going to therapy means that you're crazy and all this stuff. That is not true. That is not true. Going to therapy has helped me so much, because not only are you getting somebody else from the outside of your family and friends, but somebody that's qualified to help people with mental health issues, to help people that need it the most. And you can talk to them in confidentiality. Like, they won't tell anybody your business unless it's you threatening to harm yourself and anything, which they have to report that. But other than that, you being able to express how you feel in that moment of you feeling very sad and very depressed and very angry and very mad, and it's just all these different mixture and chemical imbalance in your brain and everything. Going to my therapist for me has helped me so much. So much. And it's just like, I always had this like fear of like, oh, going to therapy was like a really bad thing. And it was not. It wasn't. It was me listening to those people, the outside people, telling me like, oh, going to therapy is like a bad thing. That means you're like down in the dumps and you can't come back out. Like, you got to talk to somebody else. You got to pay somebody else. Bump that. Bump that. Going to therapy is a great thing. And I would hate for somebody to miss out on that kind of blessing because they're scared. I don't want that for anybody. And I feel like I'm promoting this so much because I have seen a drastic change from when before I started going to therapy till now. And I'm in therapy. Like, I see a huge difference in my mental health. And it has helped me a lot. A lot. And like, my therapy gives me like coping mechanisms of how to like train your mind and train your thinking on whenever you're going through those like really bad moments where you're feeling down in the dumps. Like, she has given me some tips. She's given me some tips to kind of reverse the opposite of what I was thinking and all that other stuff. Like, and restoring it for the better. So it's just like, for me personally, I love therapy. Like, the fact that I could talk to somebody else outside of my family, outside of my friends, and not feel weird about it is a plus for me, and I recommend that to any and everybody that experiences those type of mental health issues to get therapy. Please, I'm begging you guys to get that help. Go to therapy. And for me, like, I try to go every week. I have insurance, so most of it is covered, and I have like a little copay or whatever. But if you have the insurance, take advantage of it, please. Find a therapist that takes your insurance and book sessions, even if that has to be like a weekly session. And I strongly encourage weekly sessions, because it will improve your mental health a lot more. And you have to find the right one too. And that's another thing, you need to find the right therapist for you, one that looks like you, one that can relate to you, one that you feel connected to, one that you feel you're able to feel comfortable with. Those are the main things that you want to think about when you're choosing a therapist. And I strongly encourage that. So, if your insurance is giving you benefits of acquiring a therapist, please take that advantage. Please. I've seen so many posts of people not getting help, and they were feeling down, and they ended up taking their own life. And some of that could be prevented with just going to a therapist, going to somebody that they can talk to, somebody that they can relate to, and just pouring out everything that you're feeling into that person, and they can take away and help you find resolutions to those issues that you're having. It is normal. We're all human. We all bleed the same color. We all breathe the same air. We're all human. Take those advantages, please. And also, there's a couple more things that I want to talk about before I end this podcast. So, therapy is definitely one. I'm gonna be real and say, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat none of this. I swear to you, but tattoos and piercings have helped me a lot. Tattoos and piercings have helped me a lot, even though some people would say that's a form of self-harming and all that stuff. Tattoos and piercings has helped me cope with a lot. That even with me talking to people, even with me writing it down, even with me expressing how I'm feeling, tattoos and piercings, once I get those piercings and everything, I am good. I am great. That's like another form of therapy too. Most people are going to say that's not necessarily good, but for me in experiencing peace, piercings and tattoos have helped me a lot. And I'm just being a realist. I'm not a life coach, and I know most people will say like, oh, that's not a good thing, but for me, and I'm pretty sure it could help a couple other people, but that has been a coping mechanism for me too. Instead of me sitting there and doing all these things outside of that, I went to piercing and tattoos, and I have most of them. So that has been another thing for me that has kind of helped me too, or whatever. And yeah, so like I said, this episode was primarily on ways that I kind of prevented my own actions and doing and following within, and it has helped me a lot. And most people will say, yes, it's a little harder for other people, but it takes you as the person that's dealing with them to talk, to express, to find the help that you need, to exhaust the help that you need in order to make sure that you're okay. And I know life is extremely hard. Life is extremely tough. I'm not going to sit here and say like it's going to be peaches and cream, because it's not. I'm 23 years old and I'm still pushing through, even with living with these issues and mental health problems. I am here to say that you can get through it. It's not the end all be all, is dealing with an action like that, because your life is, you have a purpose. Whatever your purpose is, you will end up finding it. You just have to push through. You have to get through the storm in order to get to the sunshine. And that's just my recommendation. And I'm sure, again, I'll come across this or somebody else will come and ask for help, but I just want to highlight like this is one of the main things that I needed to talk about today because Suicide Prevention Month is very serious. Very serious. And I've been seeing these posts of people actually following through with committing these actions and the pain that's left behind when somebody does that. And it's just like, I feel for them. I feel for their families because I was very close to doing that. I was very close to being in their shoes, and my family would have been dealing with those issues. And I just want to say, like, I'm very much so glad to still be here. I'm very much so glad to have found my purpose or finding my purpose because I still have found just a little bit, but there's like other things that I'm like slowly unraveling. Like I said, like a onion peels. Like there's layers that's being revealed and everything to me. So I just wanted to make that point. Like your life has a meaning to it, and you gotta make those life choices count. So I'm just gonna end off this podcast. Hopefully, I will see you guys next Wednesday. Tap in again. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace and blessings.